And Fabienne's going to share a little bit about the whole process of transition, coming out of school, and and how you can support your child through that. So, yeah, thank you,
Yes,
Fabienne.
well, so I think I'll talk from a perspective of really, deregistering a teenager out of secondary school when most people seem to be. It's a time when a lot of home educators seem to want to put their kids back into school because they're worried about the GCSEs and the qualifications that seem to be so important in the UK. So for us, it was a very interesting process, as I've said, and I think first of all, I would say for us, we just simply gave Thomas about 8 months, where he really just deschooled and unschooled himself. To be fair to Tom, I think he took to the unschooling, deschooling much more quickly than I did. I really struggled. I think because I was a teacher for over 25 years when I deregistered my child. So when I sent the letter, I literally cried after sending it to the head teacher, and I had to even have a conversation with the head to literally have this sort of, oh, let's split up with the system. So I think the other thing I wanted to say is about us adults, and points to one of the questions that were in the in the chat about what about GCSEs. And I think we adults have been schooled for much longer than our children, and I think we need there's some theory that you should unschool your child the amount of months, that for the years they've been in school. I don't know whether I agree with that or not, but it just is this thing of we have been schooled. We all know what the train, where it takes us, right? Particularly in England, it starts with stats and then GCSEs and then A levels and the holy grail that university is. And I do think that we need to take time to stop and ponder, and just really, do our children need all of those qualifications, like Alice was saying, or can they find another way? And only you will know. I think for me, the transition has been just giving ourselves a lot more time to just be together. So again, quite a few people have mentioned that. Just I think the most beautiful thing for us is I just feel like I've freed, we have freed our children. So, Thomas is like a free bird, and simply watching him just figuring out what it means to be free and to be able to choose what he does or he doesn't do, has just been simply beautiful. And just, seeing the light come back on and engaging with the questions and sharing and having deep conversations. And so to do that, I also feel that we need to have a community, because obviously there's the individual flourishing, but there's also the community flourishing within a group. And I feel very lucky because we obviously were very welcome in the community by Joe and Matt. And we are slowly building our own, community of like-minded individuals. And I do think that really matters, both for the teenagers to find their tribe and the young people they resonate with and their passions and everything else, so they can really discover who they are in this garden called life, and really be anchored in that, like safe in the knowledge of who they are, and then feeling seen, heard, and held in a space that, like Leah said, where they feel safe and secure, because that means that the child then can truly flourish, and from that space you can then be of service to others, and that includes us adults, because if we are not flourishing, then our young people are not going to flourish. So I've always shared openly with Thomas. I remember when I deregistered him, I sat on his bed and I just went, I'm really worried that I've taken you out of school and I don't know what's going to happen and I'm going to mess up your life. And he turned around and looked at me and said, the only person who can mess up his life is me, Mum. And at that point, I was like, okay, I think we're okay. And so I would just say, don't be afraid to talk and to share and to just share both with your children, but also, very openly, but sharing of that community with the like-minded people. And in the Learning Hub that I'm very privileged to have set up or co-founded with Joe and Caroline here in Bristol, there is also that community for adults, a space for adults to be together and to share their worries in the way that we may not be able to share with our children. And I know there's been plenty of hugs that have really helped along the way. So those would be my advice, is like, be open, share openly, and focus on the, taking care of both your young people, but also yourself.
Thank you, Fabienne. That's very valuable advice. And